Namaste, my friend. Let us do it. Eyes are closed. Let us do some practice before we understand. We are into the first step. The step one, what is the nature of the real self? Eyes are closed. Find out the most wonderful place where you can sit and feel comfortable. Eyes are gently closed and you are looking inside the forehead in the space. And in that space, you are dropping Om Shanti gently. Om Shanti. Om is pure consciousness, and Shanti means the peace. Om Shanti. Recheck, your body is steady. You are dropping Om Shanti gently. So we are not in a hurry to drop the Om Shanti. Pay attention. We are progressing into this practice. So the first point, the body is steady. The second point, you are looking inside the forehead in the space. And there in that space, you are dropping Om Shanti. So now another point of awareness, you start breathing into the rib cage. Another point of awareness, every time you inhale, expand your rib cage, and every time you exhale, allow the rib cage to squeeze, go to the normal state. The practice is for a seeker like you. There is a disclaimer, you should not give this practice to anyone. So the entire body remains still except the movement of the rib cage due to the breathing, and you are doing Om Shanti, dropping Om Shanti deep inside the forehead in the space. Continue, my friend. Keep on doing the practice. Body remains still except the movement of the rib cage. So if you find there is any resistance caused by the mind, you endure that resistance and keep on. Awareness of the body, there is a stillness. Awareness of the rib cage, there is a movement. Awareness of the space inside the forehead, Om Shanti. Awareness of the resistance caused by the mind, you endure the resistance and keep on. And now stop this type of a breathing. Allow the breath to be normal. And just check it that when I say you to stop it, the breath returns to its normal original state. And in that state, we tend to experience some sensation, some freshness. So again, we give a direction to the mind. So move the mind on the entire head and the neck as if you are looking or the mind is touching the skin of the head and the neck, and you experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Move the mind on the right arm as if your mind is moving from the shoulder down, right shoulder down to the elbow, to the wrist, palm, fingers, and experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Mind is moving on the left arm from the shoulder to the fingertips, and experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Move the mind on the entire rib cage. Experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Move the mind on the belly. You're just living in awareness. We're not doing anything, just being aware. And experience the sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Moving the mind on the right leg from the right side of the waist to the right thigh, right knee, right calf, right heel, sole, toes, the entire right side, right leg, and experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Moving the mind on the left leg from the left side of the waist to the left thigh, knee, calf, ankle, sole, heel, toes, and experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. the entire body, from the top of the head to the toes, and experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. And now see you are comfortable naturally. A natural state of comfort and steadiness is there. In the very deeper state of this sensation, comfort, the mind can reflect the real self. And that is what we say, the impurity of the mind, when the mind is constantly agitated by the outer thoughts, feelings, sensation, emotions. They are known as the impurity of the mind, and it is like a dust that cannot reflect our real self. And now you are sure how to recognize it. Now you are looking inside the head and watching and observing the thoughts, feeling, emotions. They are coming and going. They are coming and going, whether they are present in your mind or absent. You are still there. Say 10 people you invited to and you host a lunch. So you are there. And now all the 10 people have gone, you are still there. Same way. That that layer of the mind which is always present, whether the thoughts are there coming and going or totally absent. That is how I explain to you that you are standing across a road watching the traffic. So there is a mental traffic, but something more than the mental traffic is always present behind these thoughts, feeling, and emotions. So, what you're doing, you're just observing, you're just aware, you're just watching. And in that state, we introduce the mantra that contains the secret of the journey. Asatu ma satu gamaya. You can also say in your mind, Asatu ma satu gamaya. Asatu ma satu gamaya. Means moving from the false to the real. So you keep on watching the thoughts, feeling, emotions, sensation in the body. They all are coming and going. So hence it is false. Even the body keep on changing. What is coming and going is changing. And what is changing cannot remain all the time. Tamasu ma jyotirgamaya. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Meaning moving from ignorance to wisdom. I identify myself with the body and then I say I am the body. But are you still aware of the first meaning I said? Whatever is changing is not me, but here the mind is saying I am the body. So when I am the body, then I am the changing. And if I am the changing, then I have the fear and anxiety and reaction, duality and conflict. So I should have a right knowledge. That is the meaning of the mantra, moving from wrong knowledge to the right. Mrityurmamritangamaya. 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 Meaning, let us move from the mortality to immortality, to the freedom from all kinds of the fears, including the fear of the death. Body is changing, but I am not the body. I remain constant. One, the body was born, it was an infant, and it grows into the childhood and adulthood and old age, and ultimately, because it is changing. And whatever is changing is not me. In that state, just look at the breath. Looking at the breath, breath is going in, count mentally in one. Breath comes out, count out one, in two, out two. Go on counting the breath. But if you miss it, then restart. Why you miss it? Because the mind starts chasing any thought, feeling, and the sensation that we need to get rid of. So, by regular practice, understanding, and listening, that nature of the mind is going to change. And now stop the counting, do nothing, live into that state of doing nothing, experience the changes, state of the calmness and quietness is there. In that state, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. Keep listening. So the last week we understood, we are still into the step one. So I'm just explaining, today is the step one, the last session of the step one. So the real self is independent of anything and everything. It does not depend on anything. It is not a part, property, product of anything. Mouse is a part, product, and property. Body is a part, product, and property. The carbohydrate, protein, etc. You see that, you look at it. House is a part and property and product of something. We always find in the entire world that is changing constantly, which is always a part, product, and property of something, therefore it is dependent. What we are searching is independent. It is not the part, it is not the property, it is not the product of anything. Can you find that in the world outside now? That is why we move the mind inside. So we have understood that real self is eternal. The last session, real self is truth. Real self is all pervading. Real self cannot be objectified. Real self is neither the doer and the enjoyer. And the real self cannot undergo any change. That is why it is permanent. That is why it is independent. So that also gives an answer. That also gives an answer of what? Why we seek the real self. We seek the real self because the suffering, anxiety, duality, conflict are located in the change. And when I identify myself with the change, because of attachment, because of delusion, because of the wrong notion, I suffer. So that is why we are searching the real self. And in order to search the real self, I have to start separating myself, disidentifying myself with what is changing. And that is what we are learning step by step. So you also get the same answer. How to realize this self? I inquire each, we should inquire, we are going to inquire each and every aspect of the change. If anything is the part, product, and property, that is not me. Body, not me. Mind, not me. Intellect, not me. Ego, not me. Anxiety, not me. Depression, not me. Frustration, not me. But this is only an intellectual understanding. So as we continue to open these steps, there are 40 steps. So as we continue to open each step, we discover, we recognize, we realize, we experience that whatever is changing is not me. So that realization will help me to find where is the permanent peace and happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. So, are you getting an answer? What causes the bondage and the suffering? Ignorance. I do not know my real self. What I know is my false self first, and I claim this false self as me. You cannot be an anxiety. You cannot be a stress. So once we recognize it and realize, means I experience it, then what happens? There is no question of any anxiety, duality, and a conflict. You can also say that is the journey of the self-knowledge. So what happens when we realize this self? What happens to the wave when it realizes that it is essentially a water? What happens to the space in your room when it realizes it is only one with the infinite space? You break the chain of the enclosed walls, mentally and emotionally, and you find that you are one infinite space. That is the real self. What happens after that awakening or getting the self knowledge? The suffering comes to an end. All kinds of suffering comes to an end. There is a sense of freedom. Freedom not only from anxiety, freedom from fear of the death, freedom from the fears, anguishness, anxiety, reaction, duality, and conflict. But why it is? Why it is? Can you answer? You know the answer. I'm just helping you. It is because of the mental conditioning. What is that mental conditioning? Attachment. Egoistic attachment. And what is the solution? Solution is the self-inquiry. So what we are doing? We are doing a self-inquiry. We are following a particular discipline in the East and West. So what is the solution? Self-inquiry. Self-inquiry means that you're listening and learning. You repeat listening and learning so that you reflect on it, and after reflection you do the practice. What is the result? Freedom, joy, peace, calmness. When your heart grasps the truth, all doubts in the sorrow comes to an end. But to make the heart to grasp the truth, we are continuing the journey. It cannot happen in a day. Intellectually, it can happen. Intellectually, we understand this. Now, think that it is now you are not treating the path of the self-discovery. So, what happens to the mind? Increased mental hesitation, anxiety, and all other challenges. I'm talking just about the mind. Mind is confused. There is a doubt, there is a lack of clarity when we do not treat the path. They are going to increase the rigidity, closed mindedness automatically takes over the mind because I'm not doing a self inquiry. So, what happens to our personal life? Lack of self awareness. There is a lack of meaningful purpose in life. Don't you see the people around you in your family? So I should not get swayed by them. I should not teach them, but first I have to take care of myself. So, what happens, when we do not treat this path of this self inquiry, there is a difficulty, extreme difficulty coping with aging and the change. You complain a couple of times. It becomes extremely difficult to cope with the change, even we are of the same age. Then we regret about the time wasted and our potential unfulfilled. Our life is not to feel those guilt. So what challenges that we have in our professional life? A kind of dissatisfaction is there, bitterness, restless ambition continues at the cost of work-life balance. You're also a professional, so I'm just underlining those. Getting trapped, chasing arbitrary markers of position in the status and the pleasure. They are arbitrary. Mind goes always there. Mind keeps on thinking about it. So if you link today's talk with the previous talk, it will make a sense. But I know that you are understanding. So what happens in the social life if I don't follow the journey of the self discovery? Social media induced pressure and envy. You told me, Amazon, addiction. Does the Amazon say that be addicted to me? So I judge my self worth based on outer pleasures, and that is causing a lot of challenges. I know that now you are realizing that. A shock at change in public image over time. What happens to my family life? Clinging attachment, bringing grief, or clinging detachment. No, I don't want to talk to you. But why? Let the mind remain pure. If one comes, let me talk. If the one doesn't come, I'm happy. But mind do not understand these things unless we do the self-inquiry. Taking loved ones for granted, breeding remorse later. Don't do that. We role identification, obscuring fuller our real identity. And that also causes some disturbances. Even in relationship, we have an excessive emotional dependence on others for inner stability. There's no need. We find the turmoil when the relationship fluctuations, the fluctuations in the relationship challenges our expectations. That is what is happening in this age. Why it happens? Because I have created a narrow self concepts based on our relations. Again, a reminder in a different way. We are searching our true nature. This is going to be the last session of the step number 1. So that real self is absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. That is what we covered last time. So, how to understand it? How to understand the first word, the very existence? Do you see the movie or the TV? Yes. The TV screen, the images move and change rapidly on the screen, yet the TV screen itself remains the same. Similarly, the drama of the forms in the world, in the relations, in the situations continues to play, but that real self looks like a screen, remains untouched. One example, the field. Look at the agricultural field, the crops, the weather, and the activity on the field always changes. Yet the open spaciousness of the field, allowing all that movement, itself does not change. So, what is that crop? Our physical, our mental, our emotional, thought, and activities, they keep on changing. But behind that, there is a field that never changes. That is what we say the existence is. I'm just trying to give you a deeper understanding of the three words, but at present I'm just talking about the existence. Look at the canvas where the painting is done. Many different paintings may be made on the same canvas over the years. You can draw the painting of your dad and your mom and then rub it, create another painting. That is what is happening. We feel as if those paintings are me, but no, I'm the canvas. The mirror. You stand before the mirror and mirror reflects you. I stand before the same mirror, it reflects me. So these reflections come and go. The reflections do not leave any impression on the mirror. The real self is like a mirror which leaves no impression of your anxiety, of your desperation, of your pleasure, of your pain, of your duality, of your conflict. Really? Yes. That is what we want to discover. So, in essence, the first word of existence, consciousness, bliss. The first word is existence. That existence signifies the unchanging aspect of the real self. What about the second one, the consciousness? I told you, existence, consciousness, bliss. Bliss is permanent happiness. So, what is this consciousness? Consciousness is pure awareness. So, I am consciousness, yes. Your mind might be thinking, give an example to make me understand. Yes, sure. I'm having this session in the presence of the light. Before that, I had a group session. And even before that, that person wants to do the session very, very early in the morning. So I had, this is the third session. So all the three sessions are happening and taking place in the presence of the light. Did anything happen to the light? Nothing happened to the light. That is the nature of our consciousness. And we take it for granted that mind is my consciousness. Mind has an anxiety, consciousness does not have it. Our consciousness illuminates all the thoughts and feelings and emotions, sensations and activities in the world. But nothing happens to it. The same way the light, nothing happens to the light. I just explained to you. Do you see me? Yes. Do you see your relations? Yes. Do you see the wall? Do you see the screen? Do you see any change in the scene? Seeing? Do you see any change in the perception? objects are changing before the perception. There are variety of objects, but the very seeing, that very seeing, mouse cannot see, I can see. That seeing does not change. It is because of the consciousness. Cell phone. Current is supplied to this cell phone by master's picture. So the current is supplied to the cell phone. Messages changes. You make a different call, you receive a different call. You can take the pictures are different. Shape and the size is different of the smartphone. Current does not change. That consciousness is of the nature of that. You can now experience it. So we have covered two things: existence, consciousness. What about the bliss? Yes, we will talk about the bliss. Can you give an example of the bliss? Yes. You go into the solitude in the nature, too far from everything. You're sitting quietly. You're sitting quietly and you are observing the nature. We may suddenly feel a sense of gratitude, fulfillment in the blessing. From where it has come? Do you think it has come from the nature? No, it has come from within you. It is due to the inner richness, because you have gone into this solitude and the mind has not busy. Mind has no dirt. We feel the inner richness bubbling from within. It is the state of permanent happiness. No, but why don't I feel that permanent happiness when I return home? Because your mind is now occupied with lot of stuff. You're dependent, your mind dependent on something outside. That dependence has to go. One day, in the full moon night, you start gazing at the starry sky. Embracing a loved one can bring the tears of the joy. These temporary glimpses indicate the bliss that permanent happiness is possible without making any effort outside grabbing something, possessing something, attaching something. You are in an act of kindness. The radiance in the state of kindness we may feel when helping someone in need comes from that permanent state of the happiness. That is our nature, because I feel that state of the happiness which has, so that moves outside. Oh, you don't have it, please have it. It is not because you helped someone, it is because that revealed from you. Sometimes you are sitting and you have a smile without any reason. Permanent. I'm just giving you a flashes. What we are learning, that this existence, consciousness, and bliss should always be experienced all the time, 24 by 7, in all the location. Now, if it is not there, I have already explained you, we have a mental sense of mental unrest, distorted thinking, excessive rumination. We have an addicted thought pattern. No, I had an anxiety last week, so today also I have. In my personal life, we lack of inner fulfillment. I've already explained those factors. So now what happens? Just give you another sense of understanding. You just don't make an effort, but contemplate and reflect. Where the real self is located, I'm just giving you just an example. Uh, do you know your physical level? Yes, I know it. My physical level, five sense organs, the entire body, the heart and the lungs and organs, etc., etc., etc. And I know my physical level age is 65. So there is a one physical level that is perceived by these five sense organs, processed by the mind, and then I know here is a human being, here is a wall, here is a mouth. But then there is a second level. Second level is subtler. I see you. When I say I see you, I see your body, your structure, form and color, etc., etc. But can I see your thought? Can I see your feeling and emotions? That is the subtler level. That subtler level is known as the mind. Mind, intellect, memory. But then there is still a higher level than the mind, which is subtler, which is the subtlest. It is subtler than the mind. That is spiritual. That is the location of the real self. Did you understand? Yes, but there is no but. Body is located in a physical space. Clear? The mind is located in a mental space. Physically, you in a minute you cannot reach to Britain. Mentally, you think you are already there. So see, the mental space is so vast. Physical space is so limited. So the mental space is so vast. What about another space where the real self is located? That is infinite, subtler, vaster, greater than the mental space. Are you getting it? Just so there are three levels. Mind is too much attached to the physical and the mental level, and that is why we cannot have an access to that higher level. You understand the three levels? Then there are three types of the suffering. Physical suffering caused by the other beings, physical pain inflicted by animal, insects, and the humans, loss from the theft and assault, mentally hurt by others, words or actions, because it comes from the physical entity. So then there is a mental suffering. Suffering arises from my own body and the mind. I close my eyes and I think that I'm into anxiety, I have a lot of problem and the worries, and fact is that there is no problem. But yes, sometimes we have a physical illnesses and that also because I'm thinking, brooding about it. The mental afflictions like anger, anxiety, fear, addiction, there comes under the category of the mental suffering. And what about another level of this suffering? Look at the tsunami and the storm in the Florida. Look at the people, the natural, the earthquake, then the storm. So basically, all the suffering can be categorized into the three categories. I have an unfavorable condition in my life. That is the third kind of a suffering because I don't know. I have not created and still I feel it. I will talk in detail, so no worries. I'll talk in detail. So we have three levels in the three types of this suffering. And we have already understood what is the real self, our essential nature is existence, consciousness, bliss. That is also three. Three levels. So that is basically not three, they are actually one. You are a woman, you're a wife, you're a daughter, and you are a mother. You are still one. So that is how the existence, consciousness, bliss is. That is how we have to recognize and understand the real self. Even though I am explaining as it is existence, consciousness, and bliss, but it is only one. When we fail to recognize our real nature due to ignorance and instead identify with the body and the mind, the bondage begins, the suffering begins. What is the cause? Cause is the ignorance, I have been telling you. Ignorance, delusion, wrong assumption, false assumption. And what is the effect? Then I continues to suffer. How many times you have been into anxiety? I can't remember, maybe 10,000 times. Are you ready to be anxious next time? Yes. Why it happens? That is the effect of the ignorance. Because I don't know. I have realized anxiety is not good and still I enter into it. See that? I'm not upset, but still I know I have been upset how many times? Maybe millions of times. Until now. Can I stop being upset from tomorrow? There is no chance. Why there is no chance? Because of the ignorance. What is that ignorance? Because I don't know my real self. That is how the master speaks. What should I do? I should do the inquiry. Here is a false assumption, here is a false identification, here is an attachment, let me drop it. But dropping is not so easy. That is why we are continuing the path. In the process of the self-inquiry, we have another format that I challenge my false assumption. I challenge my false assumption, then what happens? The mind is not running outside, the mind will start moving inside. You told me it is difficult. No, Gita is not difficult. I'm mixing some teachings so that you'll have a understanding of that. So what happens now? My mind is not running inside, so it is already inside. So I turn the mind inside. So listening and learning regularly, contemplation and reflection, practice, mantra, all these practices helps us to find the real self. Then I recognize what I recognize. In a dim light at the dusk, you are on a evening walk at the dusk and light is not very clear and the rope appears as a snake. That is ignorance. So dim light now is a bright light, so that is knowledge. So what happens to the snake? snake is gone because it was only a rope. That false assumption has gone, that ignorance is gone, that everything's gone. Think, think, think.